Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the new Starbucks in Lexington got off to a rocky start. Hear what the store's manager says about the slow service and what they've done to fix things. There are new developments in the State versus Natural Bridge Zoo. We'll take you live to the county courthouse. Also, there are new operations in place to deal with threats at Rockbridge County High School. Our reporters Chaz Chappell and Claire Hamlet will walk you through the updates. A bill in the House of Delegates is vying to help protect victims from having their intimate images shared without their consent. And later in the show, Madison Carlin has your weekend forecast. Just ahead of the Groundhog's prediction tomorrow, all of this and more coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Kaden Buss.
And I'm Judy Gong.
Customers of Lexington's new Starbucks are complaining on social media about long wait times and a lack of available menu items. The store manager told Armelo Simbaya that she warned corporate supervisors that they weren't ready to open last September, but they did not believe her.
Starbucks store manager Bobby Smith says her store was unprepared for the first few weeks of demand. She says they only had 14 employees when they needed 24.
Oh, it was crazy. We were doing like almost $10,000 days for the first 3 weeks. So yeah, really intense. I knew it was going to be big just because I live here and there's nothing here. And so I tried to tell my district manager, but he was like, no, we're going to do like $1,200 days like all the other stores opening. And I was like, no.
Cynthia Atkins says she ordered a blueberry scone but had to settle for a muffin. She says she has been disappointed by menu availability since the opening.
The first time I was here, they didn't have any food at all.
The people who were putting the store together, they miscommunicated with corporate that it was a fresh food store, which means you get a delivery every day of absolutely fresh items. And that was not the case. We are frozen, so we did not have food for the first couple weeks.
Washington and Lee student Regan Radoseski says her primary concern is the long wait times.
We just don't have the time to give up to wait in line just for really honestly a mediocre drink.
Smith says the store's routine has improved since the opening, and they now have the highest Starbucks food sales in the region. She says the store will have 7 new employees in the coming weeks to prepare for spring demand. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Melo Sambai.
Some consumer groups and health experts say that social media can put kids and teens at risk for everything from bullying to eating disorders to depression. And on Wednesday, lawmakers confronted 5 top tech executives to see how they plan to make the spaces safer. Karen Kaifa reports.
Parents holding photos of young loved ones allegedly harmed by social media, greeting CEOs from Meta, X, TikTok, Snap, and Discord Wednesday as they arrived to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee over potential dangers posed by their platforms.
Their constant pursuit of engagement and profit over basic safety have all put our kids and grandkids at risk.
At issue, fears of a worsening mental health crisis among children and teens due to social media, including increased risk of depression and suicide, as well as promotion and access to dangerous or illicit substances, national security concerns, and online child sexual exploitation.
You have blood on your hands.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle blasting the 5 CEOs for not backing legislation to keep users safe.
I'm so tired of this. It's been 28 years, since the internet. We haven't passed any of these bills because everyone's double talk.
The social media companies have largely maintained they are best suited to help users make smart decisions, touting enhanced safety policies and tools while also deflecting responsibility.
Mental health is a complex issue, and the existing body of scientific work has not shown a causal link between using social media and young people having worse mental health outcomes.
The senators appeared unconvinced, demanding the corporations accept more oversight and be held accountable for any harm caused by their platforms. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg apologized to the families in the hearing room for everything they've gone through.
All 27 EU leaders agreed on a nearly $54 billion aid package to support Ukraine's war with Russia. European Commission President Charles Michel posted online that the EU is taking leadership and responsibility in support for Ukraine. The biggest hurdle the EU leaders had to overcome was opposition from Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Back in December, he blocked the funding. The Rockbridge County Schools Division announced 2 changes in the wake of last fall's dual threat at the high school. On October 10th, school officials faced both an active shooter threat and a bomb threat. Student and teachers said a broken PA system sent administrators classroom to classroom to warn them about the possible shooter, and then to send them to the football field as an evacuation site. We have team coverages of the changes, including a newly installed PA and the new place for parents to pick up evacuated students, beginning with the Rockbridge Report's Chaz Chappell.
The Virginia Horse Center is now the official emergency evacuation site for Rockbridge County Public Schools. Superintendent Philip Thompson says the Horse Center's proximity to the high school addresses parent and student concerns about the confusing response to the threat on campus on October 10th.
Anytime we can get them away from this site, I think it would make it safer for everybody else and make it a little bit more efficient.
Thompson says the county has considered the Horse Center as an emergency site for over a decade. Horse Center CEO Glenn Petty says the facility has the room to shelter students, teachers, and staff in its 4,000-seat arena.
We have offered our Anderson Coliseum as a community service for in case there is a need for an evacuation from any of the schools.
Students would be bused 5 minutes from the high school and dropped off here. Then, teachers and staff would guide students to be sorted and seated by class year. Parents could then pick up their kids here. Petty says the Horse Center has a staffed kitchen and could feed students while they wait.
We have restroom accommodations, grill, such that we could be ready on short notice.
David Wells is the father of 3 children who attend the high school. He says the new plan makes him feel better about his children's safety.
I'm glad that they're actually being proactive.
But Wells says he's still concerned about getting students on buses quickly.
The proverbial crap hits the fan and they can't get people shipped off. What do you do then?
Thompson says school officials are still looking for alternative locations if the Horse Center has an event and doesn't have room for the students. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Chaz Chappell.
I'm Claire Hamlet. For the first time since August, Rockbridge County High School has a fully operational intercom. The system broke down the week before the school year started and wasn't working October 10th during the bomb and active shooter scare.
At the end of the day, there's no doubt that we would have loved to have had an intercom system. I think it would have been a little bit easier.
Superintendent Philip Thompson says there was no intercom that day because of delays in ordering a new system. He says the intercom company blamed supply chain shortages that dated back to the COVID-19 pandemic.
It was expected to start in November. We were told early on that the parts were not available.
Thompson says workers started to install the intercom late last year. They finished 2 weeks ago, and the intercom has been working ever since. Senior Maddie Dahl says the broken PA system created chaos back in October.
There was no communication throughout the school, and that was horrifying because people were trapped in the library, locked in the library, and they couldn't get out the doors and they're kind of like the doors at the mall that come down.
Senior Nala Shear says she's relieved about the new system because no one seemed to know what to do that day.
Our administrators were running through the hallway and came and banged on our door and said, everyone needs to go outside now and you need to run.
The intercom is being used for announcements right now. It hasn't been used in any active threat drills with students, teachers, and staff.
The intercom system is a valuable piece of that, just a communication tool.
Thompson says the intercom definitely will get tested when the high school holds its next drill. With the Rockbridge Report, I'm Claire Hamlet.
A bill broadening Virginia's revenge porn law cleared an early hurdle yesterday in the Virginia House of Delegates. It would add a new category of sexual images that would be unlawful to disseminate. The bill's sponsor delegate, Irene Shin, said the measure would protect victims from having their intimate images shared without their consent. The number of domestic disturbance arrests in Buena Vista more than doubled from 2022 to 2023. The city's police department is addressing domestic violence with the help of a $100,000 grant from the state. The department hired a new officer to lead the effort. Check out Mackenzie Kane's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
After the break, we'll take you live to the county courthouse where our Margaret Beimdeck will update you on the state versus Natural Bridge Sue.
Everybody's enjoying the sunshine here in downtown Lexington. I'm Madison Carlin. I'll have more details of what's to come in my 5-day forecast.
and we'll walk you through new developments in the lawsuit against Fairfax County Public Schools. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
A federal judge rejected a request by Fairfax County Public Schools to toss out a lawsuit. The case accuses Virginia's largest school system of indifference to a middle school student's claims of sexual abuse and harassment. The middle schooler who raised the allegations in 2011 is now 24. She filed the civil lawsuit in 2019 and is not identified by name in court documents. The case is scheduled to go to trial in March.
President Biden honored 3 Georgia National Guard soldiers who were killed in Jordan at the National Prayer Breakfast today. The United States attributed last Sunday's attack to the Islamic resistance in Iraq.
They've raised their lives in harm's way. They risked it all. And we'll never forget the sacrifices and service to our country, that the dozens of service members who were wounded and are recovering now.
He and First Lady Jill Biden are expected to be at Dover Air Force Base tomorrow to receive the dignified transfer of the bodies.
Coming up next, our Madison Carlin will let you know the weather in our area ahead of the groundhog's prediction tomorrow.
Also, right after the break, hear what Lexington officials are going to deal with the homelessness in the city.
And later in the show, the Stars came to play for Generals basketball last night. We'll update you on the big night in ODAC basketball.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. New developments today in the state's case against the Natural Bridge Zoo. In December, a district court judge ruled that the state should take custody of dozens of animals prosecutors said were abused or neglected. But this morning, the two sides met in circuit court, and the Rockbridge Report's Margaret Beimdeck was there. In a hearing today, Rockbridge County Circuit Court Judge Christopher Russell scheduled a pre-trial hearing in the Natural Bridge Zoo case for February 14th. Lawyers for the state are appealing a district court decision that led to some animals being removed from the zoo, but they want the judge to allow the state to take custody of the rest of them. Zoo owners Debbie and Carl Morganson want all 100 animals back.
Hearing in the appeals process of the Natural Bridge Zoo was this morning. Owners Carl and Debbie Mogensen filed an appeal after Judge Gregory Mooney ruled earlier this month that many zoo animals had been cruelly treated and had inadequate care. On December 6th, the Virginia State Police and the Attorney General's Animal Law Unit executed a search of Natural Bridge Zoo. State police and veterinarians noticed that the tufted capuchin monkeys had untreated hair loss and open sores on their tails and legs. The tortoise enclosures were smeared and caked with feces from the animals and from birds in a cage above. An ibis had unaddressed beak defects and was half the average weight for the species. All the giraffes had overgrown hoofs. The state seized 96 animals and 4 giraffes. They were spread to shelters throughout Virginia. On January 19th, the court ruled that the confiscated animals had been mistreated. The state took custody of 61 of the seized animals. The state has appealed Judge Mooney's ruling that there was not enough evidence to support the allegations of cruelty regarding 39 animals. Those animals have not been returned to the Mogensons and still remain in shelters throughout Virginia. The giraffes are in the state's custody, but have been returned to the zoo because they could not be transported. The Mogensons filed a federal case against the state in December, but they chose to drop it after the state's decision.
Members of Lexington's Housing Commission are discussing several ideas to deal with homelessness in the city. The commission, known as the Threshold, is in the process of figuring out how many unhoused people there are in Lexington. At a meeting last month, Threshold's members talked about creating shelters in local churches during severe weather. They also talked about designating safe parking spaces for unhoused people who live in their cars. Board members plan to present their findings and ideas to City Council within the next 2 months. Tomorrow is Groundhog Day, and the spotlight will be on Gobbler's Knob in western Pennsylvania. Thousands are expected to attend the annual event, but there isn't much science or history to back up the accuracy of Puxatawny Phil's weather prediction. The National Center for Environmental Information is among one of his skeptics. They concluded last year that Phil was only right 40% of the time.
We've had some nice and sunny weather recently, right, Caden?
Yeah, I'd love to keep wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Is that possible, Madison?
You're in luck, Caden. We are moving past weeks of overcast in Lexington, and it's sunny skies on the horizon. Let's take a look at this evening's weather in Lexington. We've been treated to some warmer weather today. with a high of 56 degrees. Tonight, it's dropping down to 37. Today's barometric pressure is 29 and 96 hundredth inches. The wind speed is 6 miles per hour, and our humidity is standing at 43%. Looking at our radar map, there is no sign of precipitation or overcast. Hopefully, we'll have to see what a certain groundhog says tomorrow. Lexington and Buena Vista are sunny and 53. Stanton is following with some clouds, also 53. Charlottesville, some cloudy skies with a high of 59 today. Lynchburg is at 55. Covington is a bit lower with 42 degrees. And Roanoke is standing at 56 and sunny. A look into the 5-day forecast. It's in the mid-50s this week and sunny skies. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this weekend, we have warm weather, with Sunday reaching a high of 56 degrees. Monday and Tuesday, still warm out. Monday with a high of 51 and Tuesday with a high of 46. It's going to be in the low, mid to high 20s this week. Back to you, Kaden and Judy.
Coming up after the break, WNL men's and women's basketball both extended their winning streaks on the road last night.
And last, we'll tell you why a new roof for an old Virginia church is so significant.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
It's February. That means March Madness basketball is right around the corner.
Do you think that the WNL men's and women's basketball will make a run this year, Jack?
Well, they're certainly looking strong, but this is the last month of the regular season, so if they're going to make some momentum before the conference tournaments at the end of February, they got to start doing it now. And the Washington and Lee men's basketball team did so last night. They took down Shenandoah 71-63 behind senior Jack Dontremont's 22 points. In the win, Dontremont became the 30th player in program history to join the 1,000 career point club. WNL is sitting in 4th place in the conference right now with 6 regular season games left to play. Generals women's basketball also took care of business on the road last night by defeating Lynchburg 75-62. The Generals trailed at halftime, but outscored the Hornets by 20 in the second half. It was just another night in the office for Mary Schleisner, who led the way with 36 points and 16 rebounds for the nation's 13th ranked team. Here in Lexington, VMI basketball fell to the UNC Greensboro Spartans last night, 85-79. The Spartans led by as much as 25 before VMI mounted a comeback that fell just short. At the high school level, Rockbridge County boys basketball fell late on the road at East Rockingham, 68-64 last night. Senior Henry Lambert dropped in 32 points in the loss. On the girls' side, the girls' squad fell at home to East Rockingham, 51-21. Ruby Goodhart had 10 points in the defeat. Over in Buena Vista, the Perry McClure boys basketball team won their 4th straight game Tuesday when they ran past Bath County 86-55. The girls' team had their largest win of the year the day before when they defeated Nelson County 82-7. Both teams face off against Craig County tonight, with the girls on the road and the boys staying home. Last week, college basketball coaches across the country pulled their sneakers and suits out of their closets. Suits and Sneakers Week, put on by the organization Coaches vs. Cancer, encouraged coaches to sport the outfits in a game during the week. Our Mackenzie Kane spoke with WNL men's basketball coach Chris McHugh, who participated in this great tradition.
Good evening, Rockbridge. I'm here at Washington and Lee's Whole Camp Gym, joined by head Generals basketball coach Chris McHugh. Now, Coach, it's not often you and I talk about something other than basketball, but this is a special week for coaches across the country. It is the 30th anniversary of the Coaches vs. Cancer Suits and Sneakers Week. What does this event mean to you?
It means a lot. I think, it's a very small, I wouldn't even call it a sacrifice for us to wear some sneakers. I'm actually more comfortable in sneakers for this day. So for us to just do a little appreciation for all those people out there that are affected by cancer, and it affects all of us, right? I think we all know somebody, whether it be someone in our immediate family, friends, people at work, afflicted by cancer. So I'm really proud to just be a very, 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 very small part of bringing some awareness and hopefully some donations to the fight for research and trying to beat this disease.
Now, Coach, it is a tradition, an awareness-building tradition. You touched on it earlier when you said that a lot of people have someone in their lives who is affected by cancer. Is there anyone in particular you fight for tonight? Whose fight you support tonight?
Yeah, my Uncle Tom passed away last year. So thinking of him tonight and thinking of all the people out there who've lost loved ones or who are dealing with the battle right now, going through chemo or just been diagnosed, that, we just want everybody to know you're not alone and we got your back, and we're doing everything we can as basketball coaches at the NABC to try and get the right research to try and make it so that, in the years to come, next generation, that hopefully we have a good handle on fighting this as well as we can.
Coach, I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much for your time. And signing off with the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane.
Coaches vs. Cancer is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year and has raised over $155 million. That's all for sports. Caden, back to you.
Thanks, Jack. We're right in the middle of winter sports. A church tower that has stood in historic Jamestown, Virginia for centuries is getting a new roof. The tower dates back to the 1600s and has not had a roof since the American Revolution. The long-awaited restoration work began on Monday. Ellen Ice has more.
This is the big moment when steel beams were placed on the church tower, which was first built around 1680. Historians believe the roof collapsed sometime around the Revolution, but they say it's unclear how exactly it happened. In the next month, a glass ceiling will be installed, completing this part of the tower's restoration.
It is the only above-ground 17th century structure on Jamestown Island, and a clue that Jamestown was the capital of the English New World for the 17th century.
To expand on why this tower matters is Director of Archaeology David Givens.
In 1619, they had the first representative governmental body in English North America, and that was inside a 1617 timber frame church. And the foundations for that church are underneath the tower that we're preserving today.
He says while they've been excavating for the project, the next phase of which will include a glass floor, they've had several interesting finds.
The amazing things that are coming out of there are like window leads. And what's so cool about that is some of them are dated. You can actually tell maybe it was there before or after the tower, and it gives us a better understanding of the structure that we're studying there.
Jamestown, the birthplace of America, is a place to be treasured and preserved.
It's a very special and very, I would say, sacred spot for not only our state and our region, but our nation.
Historians say the tower has survived despite fires, the Civil War, and the test of time.
That's all for the Rockbridge Report. Thanks for watching.
For more local and national news, check out our website, rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. And join us again next Thursday for another half-hour edition of the Rockbridge Report.